Tastes like kind of citrusy flavor. Anybody else wants to taste it? It's a type of hibiscus. It's in the mallow family. This is another type of hibiscus. This is the roselle. You've ever had red zinger tea or roselle tea or flor de jamaica? This is what grows off of these. These are young plants. But they'll grow these flowers and they have these red calyxes that you use for tea.
When you harvest for the tea, do you dry them out first?
Usually, yeah, because I'm going to have it all at once, so most of it I'll end up drying and
The flavor would come from the flower
you know,
itself.
keep in the jar. Yeah, these normally I would have something off these by now, but I just planted these. These were in my nursery way too long in little tiny pots. Normally these would be like huge, huge bushes. They're kind of wintry right now. All right, so first of all, welcome back.
Yeah.
All the troopers that came back and wanted.
Thanks for having us back.
Thanks for your patience, and you can see how quickly things change. It's not even wet in the ground. We had 3 inches of rain yesterday. So.
It's still a puddle over on that way. It's
Yeah,
like a
well,
little...
they've got drainage issues. So where we left off, I was talking about how to start a bed, and I had a couple questions. So I guess I'm going to try to get into that a little bit better so that we understand what I do, and you can kind of take my ideas and run with them. So like I said before, I'll define an area. In this case, I took a piece of rope, and I just kind of said I want a kind of a curvy line. I don't like straight lines if I can help it, and I want to be a certain distance from the road. And so I kind of define my space with a piece of rope, and then I come back and I just lay my cardboard down. I make sure I overlap the cardboard because I don't want to have any seams where grass can come out or whatever. And you'll be surprised how they'll make it. They'll get through if you don't really overlap it. I think you were saying double layers.
We've done it. Yeah, I've done double layers.
Yeah.
So you lay it down, and then you go over the seams with bigger pieces again. So it's like there's like no. They would have to just go through so much.
Yeah, and that's an excellent idea. One thing that I've found is the bigger the box, the better. I actually go to mattress stores and I get this Posturepedic, the king size. You can make that one box will cover from here to the edge of the driveway by 8 feet long, and that's one box. So
That's
I can go
awesome.
get stacks of those at certain times of the year. And then there's other resources. Tyler was talking about getting rolls of newspaper from the newspaper company. They have like spent rolls, and they have the rest of it that you can get, and you just roll the whole thing out, and you've got to maybe do it that way, and then go the other way, and you can kind of, So anyway, the reason I put the cardboard down is to suppress the grass, the weeds. I find that to be a lot easier than me going in and trying to remove the grass and the weeds. That would be really labor intensive, and I like to work, but I don't like to work
They'll
that
always
hard.
grow
I
back.
like to
The
work
weeds would
smart.
grow back. The weeds would probably
And the weeds
grow
can
back.
grow back, yeah.
Unless you cover it like
So
that.
when I cover it like that, and then there's different recipes, you can call them. The idea is that you're doing a heavy sheet mulch. You want to have organic matter on top so that you can create a little ecosystem. You can do that all different ways. You can lay down grass clippings, you can lay down horse manure, you can lay down whatever you have locally available. In my case, it was wood chips, wood mulch from a local tree trimmer. The tree trimmer, he brings them to me and drops them there, and he's happy because he doesn't have to go pay someone to take the material, to dump it. So he's happy. There's also power companies that trim trees all the time, and you can get the material. It's nice to have native material. Sometimes you'll get some weeds and some seeds in there that might come up, but I found that if I mulch thick enough, which I try to go at least 6 inches thick.
Wow.
If I go thick enough, usually the stuff that comes up I can just pull out. It's not like it's really ingrained in there. It's not always the case, and I don't try to get every weed. This is considered a weed.
An edible one.
Yeah, this is an edible weed. This is you might be able to tell more than I can.
It's Biden's elbow. It's delicious steamed. If you live in the Florida area, it grows in your yard.
Absolutely.
I'll taste it.
This is also one. It has like kind of a resin flavor.
I eat it only cooked.
Yeah, I wouldn't eat a ton of it. Kind of like a lot of greens, you don't need like a lot of it because it has the oxalics and it has certain compounds that might not be the best. But it's more nutritious than spinach, and it's an excellent insectary for bee forage. It's one of the, probably, I think it's like the second most prevalent bee forage for our native bees, or for the bees that we have in this area. So it's important to have some of it here. So enough said about that. So anyway, I let the weeds come up sometimes. My other counteract against the weeds is to grow other things that take their space. In this case, I have sweet potato here. And it doesn't look as thick as it normally, believe it or not, it would normally look thicker, but I've mulched and put things on top of it. So I've kind of choked it. This is all stuff that I've cut back and put on top. So normally this would be totally more like this everywhere. It's like a big green carpet. And I just come here and I trim the edge and make it look pretty when people come and visit.
How often do you trim and pull back? Every day?
Whenever I cut the grass. This time of year I cut the grass probably once a week. And the trimming isn't really a big deal. Like right here, I can come here and I can break these stems and throw them in like that, or I can just fold them over, or I can come here with a weed whacker and whack them. It doesn't take very long. So that's how I start a garden bed. You can either plant the trees before you lay out the cardboard, or you can put the cardboard down and cut the cardboard and plant into them. Either way.
Now, how did you decide what to plant next to each other?
Okay, so what I plant, in this case, I have some limitations. I have plants that are already here. I had that tree there, and I had this avocado here. So I kind of have like one good spot. If you see, like, if you're kind of thinking about aerial space, I have like one good spot here, I have one good spot there. So I kind of do it intuitively, but I also, you can draw it on a map. I mean, you can do it however you work. But generally, I'm thinking of what I want long term, and I'm giving that its due space. And then once I've decided that, I can plant other things around it. So I have things that are, like this jackfruit tree will be here as long as I'm alive, or however long. But I have things like this papaya that's only going to be here for a couple, 2 or 3 years, and it can go away, and I can plant another one.
How come?
What's that?
Till it falls.
Yeah, this one's already fallen over twice. You see it's got an orange rope. Twice now I've found it laying out here. Last year,
Is that what they
Yeah.
do? They fall?
they
That's stupid.
They
we
just
get
grow
so
really
much
fast.
rain, they get soggy. The ground here is pretty fluffy because there's so much wood mulch, so they're really not holding on to anything. It's just sand and fluff. If we were in a rocky situation, I think they'd probably have a little bit more guts to them.
Did you put rocks around there or anything to help? No.
I didn't. No, I haven't done anything below the surface really, except for I'll tell you about it when we get up there. So I decide I want a tree here, I want a tree there, and then I plant things around them that support the trees. In this case, I have what I was telling you before, this tithonia. This is it just grows up. It's green. I can cut it down and lay it around my trees, and I'm just building that soil as fast as I can, as much as I can, where it counts. So I'm putting it around my fruit trees. And then underneath it, I can grow these things. This only gets about this tall, and it's an annual. This only gets about this tall, and it's an annual. And all this stuff I can cut back. It's never gonna out compete with my tree, because this is my tree. This is what I want.
Wait, what tree is that?
This one's a jackfruit tree.
Oh, that's right. You said that. Sorry.
Yeah, and these trees in the wild, or in their, if they're left alone, can be massive. They can be way taller than that tree over there.
Whoa.
And you can have 50-pound fruit that's 2 stories high, and it can really be a problem.
The roots could go way out.
Yeah, but you can also manage these trees, and that's something that's really important for a small-scale project like this house. You can manage this. I've already, if you look here on top, I've already trimmed the leader here. I don't know if you can all see that. I trimmed this leader right there, and you see another branch came out. But in addition to that branch, a whole bunch of other branches. You see how there's a whole bouquet of branches here. It was just a central leader, so I'm encouraging it to be a bushy growth pattern. And I'm going to continue to do that. I don't want it to be 15 feet tall or 20 feet tall. I'm going to keep it, this is about my range, however high I can reach. And if you were doing it, it would be however high you can reach, unless you want to use a ladder a lot, which is up to you. If you like using ladders, or if you like using poles and sticks, I prefer to bring a branch down and trim it with my hands. So I can do that, and that's why I have things that are really close together. This is another one. I can trim this. I can keep it tight and bushy. This is a sugar apple tree. I think I mentioned this last time. I don't know if I'm just repeating myself. But
There wasn't that many people because it was raining.
And then that's a plum tree. So this is just an experiment here. This is probably what's going to last. We don't normally do well with plums in our state, but this is one that came out of University of Florida, and it's supposed to be, doesn't need that much cold, and it can make it. So just trying stuff. Eventually, I'm going to probably remove one of these trees and let the other 2 fill in the space. One thing I wanted to point to across the street, since you guys were here yesterday, I don't know if you can see, like, they made that island of rocks and bushes. They just did that today. And I was thinking about, I came out here about an hour and a half ago, and I was looking over there, and I was looking over here, and I looked back over there, and I was thinking, just in terms of edible landscape, like if you look at the elements of their landscape, it wouldn't be that hard to replace those sago palms, or whatever palms they are, with coconut palms. It wouldn't be that hard to replace these foxtail palms with papayas. I mean, it's kind of the same pattern. You can kind of see the pattern. It wouldn't be that hard to take, they've got Backahatchee grass or whatever kind of grass. I've got lemongrass. You know, they've got the agaves. I've got pineapples. They've got the little flower bushes. I've got all kinds of little berry bushes. So you could trade them in and trade them out, and he's got irrigation over there, so he's probably going to be able to survive them a lot better than I am if I planted them the way that they're planted there. But it was just kind of a cool concept of just swapping out elements, because this is a totally standard landscape for our area. But you can see how you could I mean, those could be bananas on the two corners. It could be, you know, whatever you like.
Has he asked you at all, or have you suggested?
No, he just bought that house. He's from Chicago. He doesn't know. I mean, maybe he will at some point. But
have you met him yet? Or?
Yeah, a real nice guy. Yeah, real nice guy. Put a lot of money
you
into
could say,
that
hey,
house.
wouldn't it be cool if you could? Because maybe he'd be all down with it.
He might be. You'd be surprised. There's a lot of fruit trees on this street. So I guess we can move on. If you guys want to ask me as we go about what something is specifically, feel free to ask me. Otherwise, I'm going to kind of try to keep it broad so you have information you can take home.
This is all sweet potatoes?
Yeah, this is all sweet potato.
Wow.
This is a white variety. I could try to pick it out now, but it would be small. Usually would wait until later in the year to start harvesting.
Is that moringa back there?
That's a moringa tree back there. Yep, we're gonna walk right by it. Watch out for this
Doggy.
dog present there.
And what's this small one right here?
This is a unknown variety of Annona, which it's related to cherimoya. I got it from a rare fruit place. I don't really know what it is yet. It was labeled pineapple Annona, so
Nona,
that
like
might be
noni
cool.
juice?
No,
Or-
Annona, like the sugar apples and the cherimoyas, soursop.
Oh, soursop. Okay. So it's a variety of that.
Yeah, it's in that family, the Annona, blah blah blah, whatever it is.
Cool.
This is called Pride of Barbados, or dwarf poinciana. The purpose of this tree,
That gets
for
big.
one, is that it has pretty flowers. Number two, is that the type of tree that it is it's called a nitrogen fixing tree. It brings atmospheric nitrogen into its plant body, and it puts them into the soil. And I can't guarantee that it's doing that because I haven't dug up the roots, but the idea is that it has a symbiotic relationship with.
So are you going to let
stuff.
it get real big, or are you going to keep it small?
No, I've cut this back 2 or 3 times now.
Because
This
those
is-
get really big trees. The
Yeah,
royal
this is a
poinciana.
dwarf one, so this will only get about 15
Oh,
feet if
okay.
I let it. But I don't want to let it shade out everything else. So
Yeah.
I'm letting it go at about there, and then I cut it back, and then it comes back, and I cut it back. And every time I cut it back, it kind of, the theory is that it trims its own roots. You cut it on the top, it's kind of like shedding its own whatever underneath. And the idea is that you're basically injecting nitrogen into the soil.
And what's this you have with the sticks?
This is called blackberry jam fruit, and the reason there's sticks there is because it fell over when it rained really hard yesterday. This is one of those plants that I got from somebody, and it had been in a pot way too long, so the root system was all bound up. I planted it probably a year ago, and I still don't think the roots have gone anywhere, so it doesn't really have any stability at all. I don't know.
Did
why.
you pretty much just trim everything here the way you want it to grow?
Yes, I am in
Besides
charge of my own destiny.
Besides the yarn and blue, there's a nice fragrance going around. Is it those flowers?
Could be. There's some other things over here that'll probably have a more. I'll show you when we get over there. That'll probably more fragrant.
Is that a mango over there too? That's mango.
Yeah, this is a mango. This is a Cary mango. Another example of pruning. If you look right here, I've
That looks
just
like
tip
papaya.
pruned. So all around here, I'm just going around here and tip pruning. And you see, for every tip prune, I get 3 branches or 4
Wow.
branches. I've done that all over the place on this tree. And the idea is that with a mango, The more tips you have, the more flowers you can have. The more flowers you have, the more potential for fruit you have. So I'm just trying to give myself as many chances.
You
as I
cut
can.
it.
Yeah.
You cut the
Yeah. These are probably tool number one is to have a little pair of
scissory
pruners.
things. What are
Yep.
they?
They're
And so
loppers,
is that
these
a different variety of mango there?
yeah, this over here. And another thing, in this type of a landscape, because I have a limited space and I want to have a lot of stuff, I've tried to plant things that I can keep small on purpose. So there are varieties of mango that doesn't matter what you do, they're going to grow 15 feet in a year, and there's types that won't. This is a type that won't. This one's called Pogshaw, and this is one that's really easy to keep small. It's got a great mango. One of the differences is with mangoes, it's how many flushes of growth you get per year. And you'll see a flush will be like there's like kind of a clean section of trunk, and then there's a joint right there. I don't know if you can see that joint. And then there's another clean section, and there's a joint. Well, some varieties will have really long sections before the joints. So that's one thing. And another thing is that they can have more than one section per year. So in a season, they might have this much growth, or they might have this much plus this much plus this much, just depending on the variety. This one in particular only has 1 to 2 flushes per year. So it's really easy for me to come here once a year or something and trim this thing. In this case, usually what I would do, I'll take, if it's over a foot, like you see how long from the crotch to the end is probably 2 feet long. In this case, I've got 2 flushes here, and I've got a single stem. And what I'd like to see is 1 flush and some branching, or maybe 2 flushes and some branching. So in this case, what I would do is just prune it back to right above the previous flush, and most likely there's going to be branches that'll come from on top of some of these leaves. I'll probably get 1, 2, 3, 4, however many, and I'll go around and do that. Anywhere that I see just a single tip, I'll go around and do that, and just encourage more of a bushy.
You just throw it in the
plant.
pile to.
Yeah, everything gets dropped.
Is this something edible on the
This
ground?
yeah, this is called Chinese spinach or longevity spinach, or there's probably, I don't know how many names for it. It's related to Okinawa spinach, and it's not the tastiest. It's an excellent ground cover. It just goes nuts. They say that or it's also called cholesterol spinach. They say if you eat 3 leaves a day, then you'll never have a cholesterol problem. Whatever that means. You guys probably don't have to worry about that, or you probably have other solutions for that besides this.
Don't throw it out, taste it.
Okay, you're welcome to taste it if you want. It's just another ground cover, fills in and doesn't let other things go up. This is that cranberry hibiscus. If you guys want, you're welcome to taste it. I recommend going for the tender leaves. You always want to go for the good tender shoots.
What is that?
Cranberry hibiscus. We had another one over there.
Oh my
that's
God,
kinda
that's strong.
scraggly.
That's cool.
Almost
Yeah, it
looks
has a
like
little
a
citrusy-
maple tree almost.
Yeah, and it's in the hibiscus family, so it has that palmate leaf structure.
That
Some of
is
it grows
cool.
out.
The only color leaves we get for
Is that going to grow tall, or?
These usually get about this tall, and then they fall over. If you just leave them alone, they'll grow up as one long stem and they'll fall over. So
So
again,
the primary
this one I
thing
trimmed.
is for the tea for this one, or do you?
This one
cook it?
you can put in salad, just like a little salad green. You eat it raw, and
Could you have encouraged it to branch out even earlier than that?
oh yeah,
Okay.
I did. Well, not this one. I didn't. This one is a volunteer. I didn't even plant this. You
Okay.
can see it. It's in the middle of my path.
Yeah.
These once they seed, you'll
Oh,
get
yeah,
them
that's good.
everywhere. And if you have any bare soil, you'll really get them everywhere. So this one, I don't know how it actually survived to make a plant here.
So you literally just use twigs and tree branches to.
Yeah, these are all branches. Oh, the wood berry that I have here.
I mean, you're going to
It's all
eventually
free
have to
material.
replace it because it's going to disintegrate, right?
Probably, eventually, yeah. All this stuff is free from when they cleared the lot down there at the end of the street, along with about half the wood chips. So it's all free. That's another excellent thing about it.
Do you have a lot of worms here?
Probably. Last time I was digging, I found a whole bunch, but I don't know if they're everywhere or just a couple places. I haven't really.
If he has a lot of worms or not.
This is another nitrogen fixing tree. This is called popcorn cassia. Cassias in general are nitrogen fixing trees, which is beneficial for your soil. It's beneficial. They can be a nice shade tree for young trees. Gives them a little bit of protection. But I'm gonna pass this around, and you guys can kind of get a hint of why they call it popcorn cassia. If you just rub your fingers down here and take a sniff, and tell me if you don't smell buttered popcorn.
Oh yeah.
I can just smell it from here. That's
What's that
incredible.
called?
It's called popcorn cassia,
Oh, wow.
and it smells like buttered popcorn.
Oh,
Does
wow.
it
It's not
taste like
edible.
it? No, it's
No,
not
it's
edible.
not edible. It has yellow flowers. It's pretty. I've cut it back. It's
We're all
just now
smelling.
going back from me cutting it way
They
back.
use cassia dye for hairs. Is that the same plant?
Cassia is a big family of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of cassias.
So tell us how you manage the wildlife here and not taking your fruit, or what do you do with,
Okay.
you know?
The main
I have a
pest.
problem with squirrels. You said you had a problem with
Yeah, the main pest that I have
Oh my
in
God.
my yard
rats.
is mice.
Mice.
We're surrounded by water. I don't know if you can tell, but there's a canal there. There's one at the end of the street, and there's one behind the house. So we're kind of on a peninsula. Now they've cleared 2 lots this year, and I'm sure the mice were living there. That's when the mice started showing up here. So they come down here, and the dead end is here, and then there's like this lush food pantry for them. So I've come up with this huge amount of mice. So I've been trapping them. I have like one of those little humane traps, and I trap them and take them to the woods and let them go. The other thing that I've done is I've stopped putting a lot of compost in the ground for like the last 3 months, and I haven't been seeing them as much. So I think that's helping. I think for a while it was just way too appealing for them. So one, I've reduced the numbers by trapping and relocating, and the other is I've quit feeding them, at least for a short period of time. And that's helped me a lot. We have rabbits. I don't have any problem with rabbits.
You
But I
mean
see 'em
food
everywhere.
Compost is what you're,
Food,
okay.
yeah, like
Yeah,
fruit
yeah.
scraps and whatnot. Because I was putting like a whole half of the jackfruit carcass under here, and just going, just going nuts. And I did it. You guys left some, and I put it over there. You'll smell it over there where I did it.
It's strong.
It's kind of vinegary smelling. Squirrels can be a real problem. Birds can be a problem. There's all kinds of people that are trying all kinds of things, and I don't have all the answers for that. I know that a lot of the groves in Pine Island nearby, they use reflective tape, and they'll hang CDs and stuff, like kind of give a little reflector thing. They'll scare some things away. A lot of them go militant on them and use pellet
BB
guns or whatever they have, or trap them or whatever. But the only thing I really have here is the mice, and I didn't have them. Also, this neighbor used to have outdoor cats, and I think they've gotten old enough that they're not outdoor anymore. So that's the other thing that's kind of
Or do you need a cat?
nothing's controlling the mice population. But I do have a lot of black snakes, and I think they like mice. I know they like lizards. So. This is Suriname Carry. This is a native Eugenia species. There's a lot of Eugenias in the world. When you were here last time, this is what we were picking.
Is that a
This
citrus?
is a black one. No, these make a small. I call them tropical cherries.
Oh.
It's a bush that you'll see these. Actually, they're one of the more popular landscape bushes. That's what they should have used over there, because you can make a box out of them. You can make whatever shape you want. They'll bush out real nice, and they make a fruit in the late spring. Tastes kind of like a cherry. It's really good. This is a selected one. This is a black variety. There's other ones that are more insipid, kind of tart flavored, but this is a great example of something. If you just wanted to have a normal looking landscape, but you wanted to have it be useful, this would be a great plant for this area. And there's something like that, I'm sure, where you guys live and work too.
What's the one over there with the red kind of bark?
This
Yeah.
is cassava, also referred to as yucca, and it's also what they use to make tapioca. It's one of the most.
So it's a root.
Yeah, this is a tuber. The crop is a tuber, and this is an old plant. If I were to dig that up, it's probably the roots are the size of my arm.
And
at
that's what
least.
you're eating, the root.
Yeah, you peel them and you can boil them, roast them, mash them. I've seen where people will shred them raw and ferment them, and you can make like this paste that you can use to make pancakes with. I haven't tried that one yet.
Pizza crust you can make with that.
Yeah, it's
I've done
an
that
extremely useful, starchy,
Yeah.
calorie-dense source for tropical climate. It's really easy to grow. Any one of those sticks, if I just laid it on the ground, it would start growing. That's just how easy it is. So if anyone says they can't grow any food in this area, they're just misinformed.
Is that the one that has little red things going through it? Little red lines going through it?
I don't know. It may be in some varieties. I'm not really sure.
I'm sure it's strong.
Do you do things like tomatoes and like those
I
kind
do. In Florida, tomatoes are a real challenge for us.
Tell me about it.
Because of our sandy soil, we have extreme nematode problems. And the people that are really growing them, they have to solarize this. They put plastic down and just nuke the ground and start over every year. We do have a native variety of tomatoes that we call Everglade tomatoes, and they're real small and they're really tasty and they're really hardy and they seem to be able to survive.
What
But
about cucumbers?
in general, cucumbers, I haven't really grown cucumbers that much. We have native cucumbers that are really small. They're like kind of like the Tindora. If you had them at an Indian restaurant, you ever get the little,
We just
the
saw
little
those, yeah.
I
Yeah.
love Tindora.
those things. I have some in my nursery,
Oh my
some
gosh.
little baby plants I haven't planted yet. They can be really invasive vine because they're serious when they grow. They
We've
grow.
not had any luck with cucumbers.
Yeah, and I haven't even tried here.
It's
I
a mini
honestly
tiny-
haven't done a lot of annual stuff. Most of the annual stuff that I have done has been tropicals or really easy stuff like cruciferous, like cabbages and kales and stuff. I've had okay success. Usually I don't even start those until late October, November, because it's just too hot. Most of the stuff, it just suffers. It doesn't want to be
Yeah.
here until the winter time. If you guys want to follow me through, I'm gonna lead you
That's so
towards the
trippy.
nursery,
I'm
and
like
I'll
freaked out right
try to
now.
shout out things as I go. But if you guys want to just walk up the trail with me. This is a longan. You guys had longans this week, I think. And these are pineapples. This is the moringa. We can talk about moringa in a second.
And the flowers are just flowers? These ones?
Yeah, these are called 4 o'clocks. These are probably what you're smelling. Yeah. They only open up this time of day, so they're kind of
that's
a nice
just for
treat
the
in
beauty.
afternoon.
And
Yeah, they're
those
really
are
easy
just
to
for
grow.
those aren't anything edible, right?
No,
These
they're
here?
not.
I didn't
No.
think so.
Nope, they're just there. They're just pretty.
Oh, look at those avocados! You got lots of
I've got
avocados.
some herbs, like this is like a Thai basil. Smells really good. Smell it.
I love basil.
This is called Jewels of Opar. This is like a Ceylon spinach. It's like another tropical green that you can eat raw.
What was it called again?
Jewels of Opar or Ceylon spinach, or there's probably other names.
Is it tasty?
It's okay. This one's way better over here.
What was that one called again?
I'm gonna sit one more when everyone gets up here. If some of you guys want to come into the nursery, you can stand in the row too. I'm gonna try to stand here. and
That
talk
one
for a
had
minute.
like a texture of okra almost when you eat it.
It's a little more mucilaginous.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the tropical greens have a little bit more of a gummy,
Yeah.
kind of gooey, kind of like okra. you
Yeah.
know? Yeah. There's another one, Malabar spinach, that's really strong like that, and a lot of people don't like it because of that texture.
That Thai basil's good.
All right, so where we're standing right now is actually my septic drain field. This area right here. So because it's a septic drain field, I really don't want to mess it up because it's pretty expensive to have to replace it. Normally they would tell you not to put a tree as close as the ones that were already here when I moved here. They would tell you that's too close to begin with. But those are old trees and I don't have any problems, so that's fine. But what I've done with this area is I haven't planted anything else that's a tree any closer than those two. So in from those trees you'll see I have bananas and papayas. Those don't have crazy root systems and they're pretty easy for me to cut back. Same thing with this. These are all stuff I could easily pull out. It's not like a big deal. There are other trees that have invasive root systems and they would get in here and not have an issue. But one thing that's nice about this area is that it's the only flat area that I have on my entire property. So I thought it would be a great nursery spot. So I bought, these guys and I put down the tarps and I can keep things from nothing falls over because it's not steep ground. So that's been my adjustment to that. Another thing, this is my high land, right? So when rain falls, it falls off the house and it lands here, and eventually it's going towards the road, right? You've seen how much it can rain, but we have months of the year that it doesn't rain at all. So I have to think about what to do with too much water, and I have to think about what to do with not enough water. So I kind of have to do both. And depending on where you are, you might have to do only one or the other. One thing that I've done here is earthworks. If you guys look at the edge of the grass, you'll see that row of logs, and some of them have disintegrated, but you'll see where it kind of drops off. There's like a little trough there. It may not be real obvious unless you look at where the path crosses. You'll see a little ditch.
It drops off just after the logs, right?
Yeah, just after the log. So all I did was I dug a ditch all the way around this whole area, and I did it on what's called contour, which means it's level. So if you were to fill that ditch up with water, it would be level. It wouldn't pour out one end. It would just sit there. So I did that the whole way around, and the idea is that when it does rain and the water sheets off of this area, it falls into that ditch before it just continues out. So it just slows it down. So I'm just trying to slow things down, and I'm trying to keep water as high up in the landscape as I can for as long as I can. If you were in a hilly situation, that would be way more important. For me, I get a lot of rain, and I don't have a lot of elevation, but that's my micro swale. You know, if you looked up permaculture before, you've seen water harvesting. That's what that is. It's water harvesting. This is my little adaptation. And all I did was I dug the thing, and then I filled it back with wood chips, and then I started my beds. And that's all it is. And for me, it's worked out great. Like I said, I don't water anything except for, you'll see sprinklers in the nursery, but all that stuff is on its own as far as I'm concerned. And I've planted things that need a lot of water just down from the contour, like the bananas. They like to have a lot of water.
That's actually good to have near a septic bed. Actually, we had a failing septic, and one of the guys that came out to look at it and everything said, you need to plant a walnut tree here that'll take lots. And
Oh, really?
maybe hickory or something, I can't remember, that'll drink a lot of that water out.
Yeah. Or are you in a situation where you have it where it floods and it'll back up?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's a little bit different from what we have here. It's all sand, and it just dumps down. It goes straight down.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can see how that would. There's other ways to tweak that where that would come in handy to have that. And I've seen people, even here, I've seen people plant trees right on top. You know, that guy just planted an avocado tree right on top.